I'm brewing the Dark Side of the Schooner Oatmeal Stout by Kegland. Stick around if you're interested. I'm working on an all-grain kit by Kegland called the Dark Side of the Schooner. It's an oatmeal stout. It looks really good. They've put the grains together, mashed it, and got it ready for me. I bought this, well, a month and a half ago now. I think it's been sitting around too long. I never got it done because the last brew I did was actually given to me by Michael, and I thought I'd hold this one off until I did that one first. So this is my next go. I am going to start adding these grains. I've already put my salts in my mash water. My mash water is at 66 degrees Celsius. It should stay that way during the whole mash, so it extracts the most sugar. And my sparge water is at 75 degrees Celsius. So let's just mash it in, shall we? I'm fairly certain you guys have seen me do this before. Now, in my last video, I showed you different angles. This time I'm going to do it differently. So what I'm doing is opening up my bag. This bag here is, I'm going to have to dust down my grain tube like I always do, just to give it a bit of lubrication so I can actually get the grain tray or basket, because we have problems with rubber seal. Now, I've done other videos showing you how to do this, so I won't do this on this one. I'll just get it done and we'll start adding the grains. All right, so it's dusted down, ready to go. You're recording, yep, so I'll throw that in here. We'll start adding the grains. Now, because I had to open the bag up, I'm just going to do it the conventional way. Whoop. Pop that in there so we don't get any grains inside. Bring that up. Alright, now we should start. Now, things are going to get significantly dusty. And I think this is going to be a dark brew as well. Of course, it's got oats in it and dark grains. It's going to be a dark one altogether, as you can see. Then this is at 66 degrees Celsius, and as we add the grains in, it's going to cool a little, but not a great deal, but enough to maybe cause a problem later. But because it's a grain father, it should just come back up to temperature straight away. There was something else that I read in the notes for this, is once you pour your grains in, stir them in, leave it for 10 minutes before starting the circulation, which is something I never knew to do. I never thought to do before. Why you would do it, I don't know. Maybe to soak the grains a bit more. This might be another little trick in brewing, especially all grain brewing. So if you guys know why you do it, let me know. But like I said, this is a simple way to do an all-grain brew. You don't have to measure anything out. They actually supply you with everything. Now, Kegland doesn't know I'm doing this video. It's got nothing to do with them. It's because I like doing brew videos and I like sharing my knowledge with you guys. So they didn't pay me anything for this. I know I've done a couple already. It's got nothing to do with them. Anyway, I pay for this out of my own pocket, and I'm really glad that you guys are watching this video, so thank you very much, by the way. We've got a couple of dough balls. So that's a dough ball. Look at that. That's a little dough ball. We'll break that up because it's a dry bit. Don't know if you can see it. This is something I haven't come across before when doing this, but that time I did. So we'll go through it all. I don't know if you can see from that camera. I'm pretty sure you can. See if there's any more dough balls in there. Looks good. Looks like it's all broken up and rested. Right. So now what I'm going to do, according to the instructions, is let that sit for 10 minutes. Now, I haven't set my grandfather's timer or anything. I'm doing this all manually. This is going to mash for about 10 minutes. What I'm going to do is pop my top tray on now and get it ready. And then I'll start the circulation in about 10 minutes time. Now I wonder if Now, let's see if we can set the timer, huh? Timer, there you go. Set that for 10 minutes. Let it sit and do its rest. Apparently that's what we have to do first, is let it rest. We'll start the timer in 10 minutes time for 1 hour. I'll set the timer to 1 hour. $60 minutes. Timer has been set for 60 minutes. Now I'm using the grandfather manually this time, making sure that I have more control over it, because sometimes the under beeping drives me nuts really, but more or less trying to make sure that I have more control over my brewing. So now I'll start the circulation. Turn the pump on, crack her open. Quickly have a look. I don't know if you guys can see from that angle. You probably can see a little. It's going to get in the way, so pop that down. So you can see it circulating. I'll allow that to circulate until the fluid level gets to the top here. And that's running at 66 degrees. It's actually at 68 degrees Celsius at the moment. But as I pump it, it's actually pumping nicely actually. Really don't need to worry about it. As I pump that, it'll cool a little and then the temperature will start going back up again. So I'll leave that for another 59 minutes. I'll get my sparge water ready at 75 degrees Celsius and then we'll start sparging as soon as this finishes mashing. There is a hop addition going in. It's about 10, I think it's a bittering one. Where is it? Once it hits boiling, we chuck in 20 grams of Magnum and we'll let that boil for 60 minutes. That's the only boiling addition that we add. All right, I'll be back soon. As you probably heard, it's sparge time. I now have to pull the basket out, let it sit for a bit and drain, and then start sparging. So the first thing to do is stop the pump. Let that drain back out, so the fluid drains back down the pipe and out. And then we will remove the water pipe, like so. It's looking pretty good, I can say. Now, I've probably told you guys in the past, always clean as you go. So this is just a bit of advice for you. Ready to pull her out. And like I said, I've already, oh, it smells good. It smells chocolatey, very nice. I'm a stout fan. This is going to be my winter drink. This is what I'm going to use or drink in the middle of winter. So it's going to be aging for about 6 months without me touching it. And it smells so good already. Now I'm going to sparge this with around about 7.5 litres of water and at 75 degrees Celsius. Now I'm going to increase the temperature of my boiler so that it gets up close to boiling temperature before I actually finish sparging it. As you can probably see, I don't know if you can see in there, you probably can't now, can you? And just inside here, I've got a little nub, this thing. I'll let that drain down till I can see the basket again, or the filter. This is all pushed down and settled down. I think the filter's come loose again on it, and it's really quite annoying. I can't wait to get the new part that grandfather released for these things and get to use it. I'll grab the sample just here. I'll do it in front of you guys while I'm waiting. This is going to see what, it should be around about 20 degrees now. I'm just going to see what the actual pH of it is. All right. So there you go, the pH is 5.4, which is where I aimed at, about 5.4. So I'm really happy with that. The pH is spot on. So that's good. So hopefully it's got the right extraction. Now I can pour that in because it's still got to be boiled, so it won't make a difference to it if it has any kinds of problems. Yeah, it looks like the top tray has moved again on the bloody thing. Can you believe it? Every time. Doesn't want to sit straight. What a nuisance. What an absolute nuisance this thing is. Look at that. Rubber come off, just like usual. Just like pain in the butt. So sick of it. This is the only drawback of a grain farther. So I'm going to end up sparging in the grains because they slowed down because this bloody thing compacted it down, which is not good. It makes me very unhappy, I can tell you now. So I'll try and put this little filter back on, so it comes off straight away. It doesn't even give me an option for it not to happen. That's in. It's not brilliant, but it'll do. I just wanted to spread the fluids around properly. I'm going to start sparging. Like I said, it's 75 degrees Celsius. I'm not going to bore you with it. I'm going to do this really quick, and we'll get to the boiling part. All right, let's get to it. As you can see, it's boiling. It's fairly vigorous, not crazy. I'm just going to keep my eye on it because it's going to get a little bit hotter, probably half a degree hotter, and that's when it really starts to become vigorous. I'm going to throw in 20 grams of Magnum, and that's going in right now. Just keep my eye on it. This is just for bittering. This is just to get it bitter. We're going to keep an eye on this just for about 10-15 minutes. I'll be in the room anyway, not going anywhere, and make sure it doesn't boil over, because it can just boil over at any time, just on its own without even realizing it. So make sure you keep your eye on it. I will get back to you when it comes to cooling and transferring it into the keg. All right, we'll see you soon. All right, just going to quickly show you guys a thing I decided to do. In the past, I've always sanitized my counterflow cooler with the lid on and on top of this, and then I end up getting a heap of bubbles floating up and boilovers and things like that. This time I just set it on the container and a couple of what are they, jugs and buckets, and I'm sanitizing it this way, so the boil is still happening and I'm still sanitizing my counterflow chiller at the same time. So that's one way of doing it, just to set it up in a different way, in a different manner. I put the cooling side where the cold water is going in into my hose, and then from my hose it'll run through the counterflow chiller from the top down through the system and back out with my red hose, and that hose just goes out into the garden, and that'll actually water my garden as well as cool my wort ready to put into the fermenter. All right, next step, transferring. So while that's transferring, the weather's picking up, it's getting bad. We'll get this done quickly. I'm going to throw the yeast in now while the wort is transferring into there. It is at 23 degrees Celsius, so it's really good. It's groundwater temperature. And it should activate the yeast pretty quickly and help mix it while I wait. So that's our yeast. Nottingham High Performance Ale yeast. I chuck that in. Now that'll mix as it's filling, and it will activate quite quickly really. because the temperature isn't just perfect. It will rehydrate on its own. So once that's full, I will take it into my house and leave it under pressure for about 4 or 5 days. I'll check it, and I'll check the gravity as well. So while that's filling, I'm going to grab a sample and I'm going to check the gravity of it. One thing I did do is I realised that it was going to be high in alcohol again, and I'm really not keen on high alcohol beers. This time I've added a little bit, 22 more litres of water than I usually do, made it 23 litres instead of 21, just to water it down a little. We're looking at around about 1050. I'm sure you guys can't see that, but 1050 is the gravity. That's what I'm going with. Okay. So like I said, I watered it down with a couple more litres of fluid to try and reduce the alcohol out of it. It'll probably thin it out a little bit, make it a bit less rich, but it will make me happier not to get pissed on it, which is, yeah, I don't like getting drunk. So this is just about finished. The funny thing is, something I haven't done before and something I haven't done for a long time is actually put my beers in bottles. This is going to ferment for about 3 weeks, maybe 4, and then I'm going to transfer it into bottles and add a couple of teaspoons of sugar in each bottle and store them for 6 months before tasting. Right, so this is getting close to the end, so we'll get back to you as soon as the fermentation stops. Cheers.